Here we go with the Topo Specter there on your screen in the beautiful coral blue colorway. We are here at Pop Century at lovely Disney World, and there on your screen you can see some of the cool stuff that they have to offer around this hotel. So this shoe, this Specter, is designed for fast workouts. It gives you honest feedback, and we can get into this here in a second. I really like this shoe, and I especially like what Topo is all about with their natural toe box and just their no frills, no fluff, no unnecessary material shoes. They keep them lightweight, they keep them basic, they keep them honest. So here up the top you can see that the laces actually don't have a ton of stretch, and they are quite long, and there's a little bit of material here. I'm holding the mic in my hand because I got some sweat on my shirt, and the microphone does not enjoy moisture, so that's what's happening here. You can tell from the lacing eyelet chain that there is quite a bit of options, which actually works in conjunction with the rest of the shoe and the midsole and the ride, which we can get into here in a second. There's a decent amount of spacing between the eyelets and then not actually making contact, which is nice, and it doesn't have a tendency to want to bunch up the tongue of the top of the shoe, which I've noticed in some of the other lighter shoes that the tongue can get kind of caught up in the lacing as far as how your foot is moving, and that is kind of a pain. Actually, talking about the tongue of the shoe, the tongue of the shoe is not super duper thick. In fact, it's kind of on the thinner side, but it's not the thinnest tongue I've ever felt. It does have a little bit of padding and not as much ventilation as I would expect in a fasty type shoe here. It did have a little bit of tendency to want to bunch up into the medial aspect of my right foot. There was a little bit of folding that happened, and that was a little bit noticeable. I had to stop a few times to fix that, but overall it wasn't that big of a deal. There's not a ton of material towards the lateral or medial side of the shoe, but again, it does have a tendency to want to stay put, especially once you get the laces here, and there are some little eyelet pieces here that hold the laces, that hold the tongue, that keep it nice and secure across the top of the midfoot, which I think if those weren't there would definitely be a tendency for the tongue to want to slosh back and forth, which was not the case entirely with the Topo Specter today. Moving into the upper, there is a single layer of engineered mesh here going on. That's a ton of perforations and a lot of breathable material here, and a lot more structured in the back than I would have expected for this kind of shoe. Moving into the toe box, as you know with Topo, these things are super duper wide and super duper nice, and it gives tons of room for all of your toes, especially that big toe, that burst ray. That excursion is not impeded at all with the Topo. In fact, there's a lot more structure to the toe box than I've had in some of these lighter weight shoes in the past. There's like basically this big U shape where my fingers are all the way to the top, of decent amount of structure for the toes, and it kept that material far away from my toes, and there was not that much contact at all of the material on the toes. I did find that my big toes were happy, but my little toes were actually clawing and looking for material. I think that's just a conditioning thing from having so many other shoes that don't have this toe box thing going on. And moving into the back, you can actually see that there's quite a bit of structure going on towards the back, and that this dark band, it's not just for style, but there's actually some structure that goes along to it. And this U-shaped heel counter does have a lot more structure to it. There's quite a bit of padding, more padding than I would have expected on this type of shoe here on the heel, and it felt very nice. There's not a big cavernous heel counter for your heel to go into, but once the lockdown of the shoe occurred and you got moving and everything, there really was not that much slippage of the heel. In fact, there was no slippage of the heel whatsoever on the Topo Specter, so it felt very good. There was a lot of padding, a lot more material. It was a lot more comfortable than I would have expected in a shoe like this. Not a ton of flexibility to the heel counter back here. Pulling out the insert of the shoe, this is an Ortholite liner or insert for the shoe, and this is a lot more structure and a lot more foam, and a really nice insert that comes with the Topo Specter. I think all Topos come with this Ortholite, super nice high quality insert for their shoes, and I gotta say, this is on par and on level with some of those inserts that you would expect that cost 20-30 bucks at the store at least. There's no substrate, there's no inlay or anything like that, but it is just a nice layer of very decent foam with a nice arch that works along with the shoe, which I'll show you here in a second, as well as the heel that again works very nicely with the shoe. So good job, Topo, with a very nice insert there. So taking a look inside, I'm not sure if you can see, but there is quite a bit of arch support, and I think that actually works with the shoe as far as keeping it secure and keeping it from moving around, that the arch works up into the shoe. And then you get this above support from the top with the tongue and the laces. And actually it does work very synergistically with the shoe and the way that the foot goes into there. And here you can see there's just, you know, all kinds of daylight coming through, all kinds of ventilation there on the inside of the Specter. Moving into the midsole. So this is a zip foam PBA or PBAX name brand and EVA blend, and it does not feel like the most energetic, propulsive, poppy, bouncy ride ever. In fact, it's nicer in a way because it gives you such honest feedback, and whatever you put into the shoe is exactly what the shoe gives back to you and offers and supports and is there for. This is more of a mentor, okay, versus some, you know, artificial amount of speed that you didn't earn. I don't mean that to be disrespectful to other shoes, but I feel like this foam feels like some of the older foams and some of the older shoes, but in a more mature, refined kind of way, versus some of the newer stuff. Okay, it's got some of the modern materials built into it, but the way that the feedback is exactly 100% compatible with what you give, okay, and nothing more. It's fantastic. There on your screen is a sack height of 5mm drop here in the Topo Specter, so not a ton of drop, and Topo is known for that. Somewhere between 0 and 5 usually is the drops on the Topo shoes. There it is, PBAX powered core. So I really like the ride and energy return here. Again, it just feels like some of those shoes that I had back in the day. When it reminds me of some of it just reminds me of my roots of running and the way that it feels. Okay, moving on to the outsole, it is just enough outsole just to protect that foam there. There's not a ton, but again, this is a speedy shoe that you're not going to be pulling out every single day. There's not a big deep decouple groove. There's not a trampoline up front. There's no frills, hardly any of that. It's just, you know, just enough rubber to act in some of these key impact zone areas, and that's it. Okay, that is it for the Topo Specter. Hopefully you guys found value in this video. If you did, please click like. That tells me and YouTube that you found value in this content. Please hit the like button if you found any value whatsoever in this content. Feel free to subscribe and follow along in the I am Dad, and we're all about family and coffee and running shoes here on the channel. Enjoy this video here at Pop Century Disney. We got the Mickey hat, we got the Mickey shirt, rocking out with the Mickey stuff here in Florida. All right, I'm gonna go get rinsed off. We're gonna go out some Mickey waffles, and it's just gonna be glorious. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.